Hood Talk News, we on fire.
Yo, 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 what's good, what's good? Man, we back like an asthma attack. You know what I'm saying? Man, today we got the big U of Harlem, the big U of New York, man. We got Preacher in here today, man. And, yeah, man, he was doing some extorting, man. He had Bobby Brown, man, and all type of things going on, man. You know what I'm saying? He was Big U, I think, before Big U. You know what I'm saying? So, but they the same people, man. They the same people. But without no further ado, man, let's get into this.
I've never been kidnapped. I've never had a debt with any drug.
Bob, come on, man. The whole New York know this story, man. You got to stop lying, man. That's why you took so long to come out with this, man. That's why you took so long, because you made sure them boys is clear off the streets. Them boys been locked down for how many? Bob said, I got to make sure the coast clear now before I start lying. Before I start lying on them boys, I got to make sure the coast clear, boy. I ain't getting nothing.
Dealers. I kind of took it really personal that my name would be mentioned in such a dark light. I didn't want my name.
Bob, before this, man, your name was mentioned in a dark light, man. You were the bad boy R&B, Bob. Come on, man. You got to stop this here. Bob done bumped his head and woke up somebody else, man. Wasn't you the bad boy R&B, man? Come on, now.
Name to be associated with anyone of that caliber.
Singer Bobby Brown.
Man, that's what Whitney's parents said, man. Let me associate with anybody of that kind.
Brown narrowly escaped a deadly shooting overnight in Boston in which his future
They said that about Bob.
brother-in-law was killed. Maureen O'Boyle has the details on the latest trouble for the husband of Whitney Houston.
This is Bobby Brown's cream-colored Bentley. You can see the bullet holes and the blood on the front seat. It happened early this morning in Boston's tough Roxbury section. Bobby was standing next to his car out.
Bob, I hope this wasn't another extortion. You owe somebody some money for some dope again, boy. Bob was on that good, boy. That boy.
Outside this seedy bar. His sister's fiancé, Stephen Seeley, was sitting inside. When a gunman opened fire, Seeley was hit in the head and chest. He died a few hours later at Boston City Hospital.
Bobby Brown just happens at this point to be a witness. If it turns out to be something else, we'll find that out.
Man, Bob owed them boys money, man. They wanted their money. That boy owed for about 4 8 balls, and they were looking for him, boy. Every little snort I take, they gonna shoot at me.
Look into that.
Spokesman Robert O'Toole says right now police have no motive and no suspects.
You know, I'm not afraid to be Bobby.
Crazy, man. Do anybody know what happened with that, man? Did Bob ever pay them people their money, man? What really happened with that story, man? I remember that way back in the day. But what really happened? Because after that, you know what I'm saying, then Preacher come and extorting for money. Bob was owing people around the world from Boston to New York, man. Come on now.
Afraid to say or do anything that, you know, I feel like doing.
That's Bobby talking about his bad boy image on the set of his new movie, Thin.
We just had to get into this clip because Bob said he would never associate himself with people of that caliber. But Bob, you been with the gangster stuff for way longer than that, man. Come on now.
In line. Bobby's had many run-ins with the law. Last month, he was cited for allegedly kicking a hotel security guard in West Hollywood. In April, he and 2 companions were arrested in Orlando, Florida, and charged with beating a nightclub patron.
Bob was on that good stuff on tour around the world beating up people, boy. Boy, god dang, every little snort he take, he gonna beat up somebody.
In 1993, police in Augusta, Georgia cited Bobby for simulating sex on stage in front of an underage audience.
Sometimes controversy
Oh, man, Bob, what you was out there doing, man?
helps celebrities, but in an instance when someone's shot, it can't help.
Michael Lewittis has written several...
Bob went to a Sesame Street concert. Yeah, girl. Bob was whining on stage at a Sesame Street concert.
Stories about Brown for New York's Daily News. He says Bobby's wife, Whitney Houston, will stand by her man. But just last week, Whitney issued a statement confirming reports of the couple's marital difficulties. Not long ago, Bobby called those rumors a bunch of baloney.
As far as my real life, you know, that I'm married.
Well, Bob, in 2025, I'm talking to you, young Bob. In 2025, all that stuff unfold, Bob. It wasn't a lie. All right? I'm letting you know, young Bob.
I'm very happily married and very happy, proud father.
Well, Bobby and Whitney have a 2-year-old little girl, Bobby Christina. Neither Bobby nor Whitney have spoken publicly about the shooting. Northell and Dave?
All right.
Real tragedy.
YouTube, what's going on? I'm right back at you with another
All right, y'all. Now we finna get into this preacher story, man.
one. Now, we all heard about the story with Bobby Brown getting snatched up by the preacher crew. If you didn't, well, that's cool. But a lot of people don't talk about the person, the actual kingpin that Bobby Brown owed. Now, if you don't know about Bobby and Whitney, well, back in the day, they liked to party. Bobby Brown partied real hard. He would mess up a lot of business involving his music career because of drugs. Now, Bobby Brown was the type of celebrity.
Bob said he don't associate with people of that caliber. Man, you the person of that caliber. Look how they trying to drag Bob.
That was always in the hood. Some celebrities would get people to go to the hood to cop some work for them.
Yeah.
Well, Bobby Brown would go himself. He stayed in the trenches, and he was damn sure good in the hood. A lot of people had love for Bobby.
Bob was spending that money. Of course he was good in the hood.
But there's times he would get involved with some dangerous men. During the time Bobby and Whitney had a nice crib out in Jersey, Bobby wanted his fix. He wanted some good work. And who to go to no other than the king of the boardwalk, Midget Molly.
A nigga named was Midget Molly? Boy, this nigga done let a midget get started. Come on now.
This guy was making hundreds of thousands, wearing expensive suits, gold rope chains around his neck, 4-finger rings, riding around in exotic cars. This man even walked around with a crown on top of his head, so you know not to play with this guy, ego. It's alleged that the crown was $1.5 million, but I don't believe it. Anyway, Bobby wanted a key, and of course, Midget Molly served him a key. It was the front, of course. He's Bobby Brown.
That boy was snorting a whole key. He fronted him a key. He wasn't selling nothing. Y'all know Bob wasn't selling no dope, man. He fronted Bob. Boy, that boy was getting heavy high, boy. That boy was on cloud 179, boy. Forget 9. He was way past 9. That boy was really on it, boy. That boy had that stuff straight from Colombia, boy. That boy bought a whole key, boy.
You would think he'll be good for it.
Ooh, boy, that boy ain't got no nostrils in his nose right now. I'm telling you now.
Right? Wrong. Months go by and Bobby Brown didn't have nothing for them. And no one knows if Bobby Brown even had any intentions on paying them.
That one of them things was 10 a key.
But he damn sure wasn't in a rush. I don't think anyone will forget that they borrowed a whole key from someone. But one night, a couple members of the preacher crew would be out Jersey partying. And you know it was some players in the spot. They ended up kicking it with some Jersey dudes. Midget Molly was in the building, and both crews was, drinking, politicking, falling back. But them dudes from Jersey mentioned how they had some smoke with Bobby Brown, due to him running off with a whole key, which was $25K during the time.
Boy ran off with a whole key just to snort. I bet Bob ain't make a dime off that. All that went in his body, man.
The men from the preacher crew saw them nice lick. You know them dudes wanted a reason to take something. They gave up $10K and told them not to worry about it. I mean, of course, they didn't have to worry.
Man, them boys was working like the collection agency. Y'all know how you owe somebody and then you don't pay them, and then it go on to the collection agency, and then they might sell you to another agency, and then they calling your phone asking for the money and stuff. Them boys was working. I told you, Big U of Harlem, them boys was on some same stuff, because Big U tried to organize his check-in business the same way.
They just got paid, but
man.
Whoever came up with the strategy was smart because they knew exactly where Bobby Brown was. Yeah, they knew a spot that Bobby Brown would play like every night. So, they knew they would get 10 times more than the 10K they just gave up. Now, I don't know why people choose not to acknowledge how strategic the preacher crew were. And it gets overlooked, the patience to just sit on the target, studying their moves, knowing the right time to strike. Now, I'm surprised these dudes weren't playing in heists and taking down banks. But these men understood the art of war, hitting a man where it hurts. We saw it with Rich Porter. Now, I'm not agreeing or glorifying, but these were some bad dudes. The kidnapping was a 2-day process.
Them the dude that had done took Rich Porter little brother. Remember that in the movie and in real life?
The best way to catch prey is to play on the weakness of a target. When you watch someone for a while, you'll notice their habits. Now, if you don't know by now, Bobby Brown couldn't keep it in his pants. He had like 3 baby moms when he was a teenager. Now, I might be exaggerating.
That's how you get any dumb nigga. Use a female. Boy, God, they can't keep it in their pants. Boy, you can get them every time.
But it was somewhere close to that. The preacher crew used the dime piece to bait them. In today's time, we hear stories about females backdooring men all the time. But this was back in the day, 80s to be exact. The first night in the club, the dime piece couldn't get close to Bobby Brown. But the next night, he was in the same club, and of course, they doubled back. But this time, it wasn't going to miss. I'm pretty sure they had a plan B. They was going to snatch him up anyway. But they sent the broad back into the club, and Bobby Brown took the bait. Now, the female managed to get him outside the club alone, and that's when the crew snatched him up. They had Bobby tied up in an apartment building.
Big dummy.
Now, you don't know how many bodies they took down in that joint.
Out there tricking up Whitney money.
Already. But if they didn't get
his own
that money, I don't think Bobby would be here today, to keep it 100. These were some serious men. Now, I don't know about him, but they knew Whitney was worth a couple million. All he had to do was get in contact with her. Now, we all know Malik. Malik tortured him and everything. He didn't even have to do all that. The money was coming and he knew that. He just had a fascination of torturing people. He tried to even get Bobby Brown to sing a song and everything. Yo, this man was burnt out. But eventually,
the truth about pow, sing it better than that, bro. Yeah, come on, man. Nah, she's just sweet. Pow, I say sing it better, boy.
Eventually, Whitney pulled up with $400,000 in the bag. And of course, she didn't get the cops involved. She entered the apartment building full of savages to get her man back.
500,000. 500,000. That nigga would have stayed there, boy. You paying for a cokehead to come back, boy, that nigga would have stayed there, boy. He had to work it off or do something, boy. He would have stayed there 500.
Now, let's take time out to shout out all the loyal females.
Whitney had 100 red flags before she married Bob.
Because at the end of the day, they're the ones that's going to take care of you when you really need it, no matter what. These fake homies ain't going to look out for you.
And I know y'all, listen, I know Whitney wasn't no angel, but that was my girl, man.
When you down. We all saw it with Rich Porter's situation. So shout out to all the moms, the sisters, the baby moms, and wives. But anyway, that was a crazy come up. They turned 10,000 into 400,000. Now, after that score, I bet their confidence was sky high. And of course, that wouldn't be the last lick they would ever attempt. It's just like coming up a couple thousand at the casino. You think you could go back and do it again and again. It's that high that's hard to come down from. Preacher had some vicious dudes around him, willing to crash out for him at any moment. Like, come on now, who's going to war with that? Who have time for that? You didn't want them dudes knocking at your door. They already had to drop on most of the dealers out there back in the day. They ran a lot of guys out of town, and to keep it 100, that probably was the best bet for them. It wasn't anything personal either. It was strictly business. Preacher
See, that's what Big U messed up. He would kept going after celebrities and people of high status. Yeah, you should have been after drug dealers, people that couldn't go to the police on you, big dummy. Preacher was kind of a little smarter than Big Dummy, but you know, they way out to about the same.
Made way more off of extortion than he did selling anything. You had guys out there scared to do business with Preacher, like, come on now. Yeah, Preacher was even trying to cop.
And the difference that made Preacher a little, smarter than Big Dummy and Big U, Preacher was dealing in a time when wasn't no forensic evidence, it wasn't no cameras and GPS, all that stuff around. So he get away with a whole bunch of stuff back then. But Big Dummy see how technology is, and he's still out here doing stuff. Wire phone calls and in podcasts, interviews and stuff. You know what I'm saying? With his voice on it, man. You got to be the dumbest, man. Listen, man, one thing about me, you show me something, man, I'm going to take heed from it. You know what I'm saying? If you say, hey, they got cameras everywhere, you know what I'm saying? The last 30, if I'm a criminal, right? I'm going to be smart with it. The last 30 people I know got caught for doing stupid stuff. You know what I'm saying? So why I'm going to go try to do this, pull off the same thing they did? Young people, if the last dude you know either dead or in jail for stepping on somebody, bragging about they stepping on somebody, why would you go do it the same way, the same thing? Don't be dumb like Big Dummy, man. You got to follow and pay attention, man. Come on now.
Half a brick from Alpo. You think Alpo was going to do business with Preacher? Poe made some excuse on why he didn't, like why it didn't happen. But he wasn't getting involved with Preacher. I wouldn't get involved with Preacher.
Man, I wouldn't get involved with Poe back then. Poe was killing up stuff too.
Now watch all the gangsters.
They were going to kill each other.
On here say, oh, you scared. But does fear really exist in business? If I'm trying to keep my business sucker free, is that fear or just a smart business move?
And I went to the house
Who
and I
is he?
seen him in there.
Preacher would give you advice on your relationships. He'd give you advice on saving your money.
Man, why they call this dude preacher, man? What he was preaching somewhere first? He's a preacher that turned bad or something, man? Come on.
How you dress, you know, how you spoke. He was like that to some of the guys didn't have fathers. Yeah, I was working off and on when I could find work as a carpenter, and that's exactly how I met Preacher. He said, but how long you been working here? I said, I don't know, it's almost 2 months. He tells me, listen, you got a choice. You either with me or against me. Part of this family or you killed. You know what I'm saying?
Preacher say you either dead or alive. Which one you want?
I said, well, what's the problem? I don't know nothing. He tells me, you want to leave this room? You're a part of this family. So I decide I can't win. You know what I mean? So I tell him, okay, what you want me to do? So he says, okay, take him to Davidson Avenue. We want somebody on Davidson Avenue to move off of the block. We spoke to him once, and he didn't move. So if he don't move, leave him there. In other words, leave him on the block dead.
Boy, that dude preacher had some power, didn't he?
So when I get to the corner, I say, yo, listen, people around the corner is complaining. They said they want you off the block. And he put his hand in my face and he shoved me. And he shoved me backwards. So I shoved the gun in his chest and I emptied the clip.
Yeah, boy, Buddy home telling this, so I'm just guess he told on the whole crew. Cause he home telling this. They don't look like no jailhouse windows behind him.
Preacher asked, how'd he do? I said, the kid's a monster. Preacher looked at me, he got up, he kissed me on both cheeks. He said, welcome to the family.
Is that the first time you killed somebody?
That was the very first time. He treated me like I was somebody. I was part of the family. But in hindsight,
man, that's how Big U was doing these niggas. I'm telling you now. This how it just did. Y'all pay attention now. This is Big U right here, man. I think Big U got all this game from Preacher. But he just tried it. Big Dummy tried to do it in the wrong time. And nigga, this is not the 80s or the 90s or none of that, nigga.
I was a well-trained pit bull. That's what he did to me.
That means a monster. Can we come for a minute, please?
The whole crew was assembled.
This nigga wasn't crying when he was killing. Now it's so dramatic and so hurtful to him. Come on, man. Man, come on, man.
I was told to get naked, which I did. I was to stand inside of a black bag. I was shackled. I was handcuffed behind my back. The bag was pulled up to my shoulders, and another bag was pulled down over that, over my head. And there was a vote taken. All those in favor of just getting rid of this guy, say aye.
Man, this dude was sick and crazy, man.
I could hear him going.
Man, this dude make Big U look like Scooby-Doo, man. I'm telling you.
Around the room, nobody voted to kill me. Except for Malik. Malik didn't like me very much at all. About 5 seconds goes by. I hear a preacher say, take them chains off, my son. The bag was removed from my head. The bag had a few ounces of sweat in the bottom of the bag. You know what I mean? The chains were taken off of me, and I looked over at Malik, and you could clearly see that he was extremely angry because nobody voted to kill me.
Always old hater. That's Holder, y'all. That's Eric Holder right there, just hating on Nip.
In the early 1990s.
Yeah, but these dudes was wild, boy. They was wild, man. But they was doing all this stuff back in the early 90s, 80s, and stuff like that there, man. You know what I'm saying?
One of Harlem's drug dealers was named Small Paul Singleton. He allegedly owed Preacher money, and Preacher came knocking.
When preacher asked for the money, he was laughed at. Like, maybe you pressing me about some money, man? You got all the money in the world. And that was the end of his life right there. All he had to do was give him the money. He had it.
They lured Small Paul to a location where he was eventually brought to the Bronx.
When they were
Dude named Small Paul.
in the basement, thumbs down on Small Paul. They're gonna whack him.
And from what I understand, he was sexually assaulted after his murder.
Dang.
He used that
Man, this dude was sick.
as a punishment to guys that thought they were really tough. Like he would do that to them just to take away their.
But what that make him if he doing that to take away their toughness? What that make him?
Their macho manhood.
That boy loving it in jail right now.
Post-mortem necrophilia. It is not about sex. It's about dominance. It's about power.
If he's still alive. If he's still alive, I don't know.
It's about control. Well, there are many commonalities that mirror other pathological serial killers, like Jeffrey Dahmer. The rules had to be adhered to, lest you, too, find yourself in the basement. That torture chamber.
Small Paul was killed and put in bags and partial suitcases and brought to Queens and dumped back in the neighborhood, which if you think about it, the Queens detectives are going to think it happened in Queens, and the Bronx detectives are never going to know it even happened there.
It's actually a really smart way of dividing and conquering the police department, because the police department really in those days in particular was focused in the county in which they sat. So if they found a body in Queens...
It seemed like Big U was trying to do that, but he wasn't that good, man.
The detectives who found the body wouldn't...
This nigga tried to be like Preacher, and he was killing in his neighborhood, leaving the body 2 feet away from his house.
necessarily be questioning a whole bunch of people
Big
about
dummy, man.
what had happened in the Bronx or in Manhattan.
One of the things that made Preacher so unique was an air of invincibility. They thought of him as like Superman, and with law enforcement, he was virtually untouchable.
I get a call from a source telling me they just spotted Preacher's buddy, John Cuff.
John Cuff was a former housing authority cop in New York City who was capable of running records, doing things.
So I head over there, and I pull him over, and I walk up, and sure enough, it's Cuff driving. So he hands me a driver's license. I know the name on the driver's license. It's not John Cuff, but I also know there was an employee in Department of Motor Vehicle in New Jersey that were selling real licenses. So if I run this in the computer, it's going to come back real, even though it's not him. So then we went through this game where I said, "What's your name?" And his response was, "You got my license?" And I said, "Okay, step out of the car."
Can't do that now, boy. You can't do that now, boy. Your face coming up now. You know what I'm saying? You give somebody else name, they face coming up. Yeah, it's hard, boy. Back in the days, you used to give them any type of name. Yeah, man, I'm John Smith, and they running, and John Smith ain't got no name. Or you can run your brother name, your cousin name, all that stuff, boy. Hey, you look at my alias, boy. I got a long list of everybody in my family. Hey, oh my name, but you can't do that no more, man. That's out, man. You can't do that no more, man.
I said, "John, what's your name?" And he looks at me, he goes, "You know my name." I said, "Yeah." So I locked him up. So we go in, and I'm doing an inventory search, and in his wallet was a list. And it was several names, and it was actually not only names, but relationships. All these different players and relationships, or players themselves that are getting money. I figure it's an extortion list or a kidnap list. So it would be like what they were into. They would kidnap relatives or people associated with these crews.
Buddy List had Lil Paul, Small Paul, 100,000. Judy Smith, 200,000. I mean, he had a name of big money. Big U list was Mike Brown, $1,000. The Weed Factory, 500.
and then hold them for money until they paid it. There's a copy machine right in front of the cell, so I copied it. And then I gave him back his copies, but I had my copy too. And I turned that over to the FBI. I charged him with criminal impersonation. The license is real, and so basically they did nothing with that. He gets right back out.
Like when he was walking out smiling, in your mind, you're saying, I don't think I can say on camera what my mind was saying, but you got off this time, but we're going to dance another day.
I can't remember how many days later it was that my pager starts going off, and it's Larry Love's code and a phone number, and then 911, 911. So now I get up and I call, and it's a payphone in the courthouse at 100 Center Street. And he says, they're out there right now. They're sitting in a van right next to my car, cuffing Preacher in there, and they're going to kill me.
Them boys were dangerous, but see, that's what I'm saying. They can get away with it in a time like this. Wasn't no cameras like that. Wasn't no, you know what I'm saying? Nothing what they got now. Technology was not like it is now. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be a fool these days to try to pull off. And it's dummies, I say, is that he got to repeat a copycat criminal called Big U out here trying to do the same thing what Preacher was doing in the 2000s, man. In the late 2000s. This dude is, man, come on, man.
This particular individual had what we call in the trade, he had street cred. So when this guy, who had committed murders himself, is talking about getting murdered, and you could hear in his voice how scared he was, we went into action.
So I said, okay, stay in the courthouse. Let me get some people down there. This is the criminal courthouse, and it's around lunchtime. I know these people are nuts, but that's nuts. Middle of the afternoon in front of a courthouse, they're going to try to whack somebody.
Them boys was, boy, they would body.
So I get down there, and I see the van, and I could see from the side mirrors, there's people sitting in the van, and they're right next to Larry Love's car. And then, for some reason, Larry Love comes walking out of the courthouse, even though I was told him not to. And he runs across the parking lot and jumps in the car, and it's like, oh, great.
The cooperating witness panics.
He throws it in reverse and takes off and goes the wrong way.
The traffic's coming this way. He's backing up into the traffic. And he must have went about 8 or 10 blocks against the traffic. And if you watch it unfold before your eyes, he was a pretty damn good driver because he didn't hit any of the cars that were coming right towards him.
That boy was trying to get away. Brick Baby trying to get away from Big U. Him and Loose.
So now I see the van's reverse lights come on, so I start running towards the van. And Cuff looks over his shoulder and sees me and stops just for a second and takes off with traffic the opposite way. So now the chase is on. We're running on foot through traffic.
And we're running, and now all chaos is broken loose.
All these people that are there for court, the law enforcement officers, all getting involved in the chase.
I remember when over the citywide radio, 3 guys running with guns. They didn't know we were cops. Well, make a long story short, we get to the van. It's Preacher, and it's John Cuff in the van.
Them boys were dangerous.
And we pull him over, we pull him out of the van. And inside the van are Halloween masks, duct tape, ties, and a lead pipe. You know, it doesn't take a rocket science.
Them boys still said we wasn't doing nothing. I don't know what that, man, listen, man. Halloween come.
Figure out what was going to happen. Of course, we lock them up on the spot.
They're going to get
out. The
out.
attorney said we don't have anything to hold them up.
I knew it.
2 and 2 makes 4 with the mask and the pipe and the flex ties and everything. But he didn't commit the covert act. He didn't get out of the van and kidnap the CW and kill him.
I don't know, y'all. I do not know, man. Hey, man, but hey, the Big U, man, the Big U of Harlem, man, it's like Big U is a copycat, but he did it in the wrong time, man. Big Dummy came in 2025, 23, 20, 2019. He was in the late 2000s trying to get away with what Preacher was getting away in the early 90s and the late 80s. And come on, man. And all through the 80s, however long he was dealing with, it was back in the days. Man. Hey, man, I just came to bring y'all that. Like, share, and subscribe. And leave a comment down at the bottom. Let me know what you think, man. You rocking with the realest platform in the planet, on the planet. Hood Talk News. I'm out.
Yo. We on.
We gon' do what? We gon' do what?
We come through this bitch hitting harder than core. Most of the bullshit we tend to ignore. Most of these niggas be snitching, these bitches be tricking for Gucci, Bass, Fendi, Dior. Tip to my shooter, he scrap by the door. We turning up just to even the score. We independent, no label, no handing, no favors. That mean we be getting back more. Money goes up, she be dropping it more. Labels be sweating, be knocking on doors. I ain't no slave, you a hater, be turning the tables. Just know who we doing this for. Them niggas that will come through your front door. Just know we tryna get them so much more. We sitting at the table like fuck a favor. If not, what we doing this for? Don't make a move cause you bound to get shot. Ain't no one out here won't issue for clout. Don't want no issue, not with you, they dish you. Won't undo the pain, mama feel if I die. Don't leave my little broski asking the why. Tell my homies I stay sober, they high. What would you do if they crewing up on us like, ooh, sucker shit can't fly. I avoid getting high, beauty of the naked eye. On point, no lie, real G, stay low key. I told all my homies we gon' make it home alive. Unapologetic, we don't apologize. The niggas I know they go ride. Any problems, we go hit up the guys. Fuck you haters, I'm the one you despise.